Hi, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast, powered by CKREU. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today on the podcast, Katie Forcade gets the scoop on the upcoming NKY Chamber Golf Outing happening on August 6th. And I chat with Stephanie Stiene about how Brighton Properties is helping people across Northern Kentucky become homeowners. Thank you to our podcast sponsor, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. Now let's go hear from that sponsor, meet our members of the week, and Katie and I will be back with this week's guests.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. CKREU gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, CKREU generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can CKREU do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. EOS Worldwide helps entrepreneurs scale for growth, increase employee engagement, and most importantly, gives them their time back. Pro Playgrounds provides direct sales of commercial playground equipment and offers installation services and inspections. The Fairway Room is a unique bar and grill located in Union for golf enthusiasts and social gatherers alike. Derby Strong Garage Doors provides professional garage door repair, installation, and opener services throughout Northern Kentucky. At Prime Car Wash, their mission is to deliver a complete clean, inside and out.
Hi, everybody. It's Katie Forcade. I'm joined here today with Broomall and Tim Krebs. We're going to be talking about the golf outing happening on August 6th. Now, guys, tell me a little bit about this year's event and what people can expect.
Yeah, the event's coming up on August 6th. There's some new things this year to this year's event, and there's a lot of things that we've always had. So if you want the top line, what people should expect, the top line is people should expect to have an absolute great time, regardless of their skill level. And it makes it even more fun because we know it's supporting our chamber that does so much for our community. We'll have two 18-hole flights, scramble format, great for anybody that loves golf or even new people coming to golf. It's still a great time. Raffle prizes, drinks and food, and really fun games on the course, very unique. Also a great chance to network, which is a huge part of what the Chamber provides us for. On the other, we're lucky to be at Kenton County golf courses because they actually have two golf courses that we can utilize. So we take one of the golf courses, the Willows, and we use that for our 18-hole scramble. And then they have a second 18-year-old hole, which is Pioneer, and we use that for our 9-hole scrambles. So in the morning, we have what's called the Networking 9. That's for people that maybe don't have enough time to come out and do the 18-hole. Maybe they don't want to play 18 or they're newer to golf and they want something a little bit more relaxed. The 9-hole is great for that, built for you to make connections and meet people as you go through. For the afternoon 9-hole, we're starting something new this year. It's called the Party on the Par 3. And so we're taking all the holes in the front 9 of Pioneer, we're turning them all into Par 3 holes. And so it's going to be quick, it's going to be fun, lots of fun games out there, lots of sponsors, and you get the benefits of still getting engaged in all the other great stuff about the golf outing, which is the networking part afterwards, the meals, and everything like that.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Now, Tim, from your perspective from the Kenton County golf courses, take me through those and just what people can expect when they do step out onto the courses and just some of the differences between the two that you can speak to.
Well, we have two different courses, as Aaron said. One of them is more championship 18-hole competitive course, which is the Willows course, which is perfect for the 18-hole event. And then we have the Pioneer course, which is the original course there, and it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more player friendly, better suited to beginning golfers, better suited to the 9-hole play. I think the idea for the par 3 is a great idea. Kind of follows the Masters a little bit in their par 3 event before the event. So we'll have a separate set of tees out there, making the yardages even shorter than what they currently are, so that everyone can play fast and have a great time.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Now, talk to me a little bit about, obviously this will be a fun day out on the courses. Explain the difference of, like, for anybody with different skill sets. I know you've mentioned this a little bit, but talk to me a little bit about who should consider the 18-holers versus the 9 holes. What should people do when they're looking to register with that?
So if you're like me, which is an average to maybe below average golfer, what I do is I just pick good people to play with me in a scramble, and then I don't have to care because they're going to be amazing. And so if you're going to play the 18, I think it's worthwhile to have 1 or 2 people on your team that actually know how to play golf and can help you out. If not, it can be a really long day.
Right.
We do have a max score of bogey, so no matter, that's 1 shot over par. So no matter what, we're going to make sure that you move through pretty quick. But if you don't have anybody with experience, it can be a pretty long day out there. So just make sure you have 1 or 2 people that know what they're doing, then everybody else can just join on the bandwagon. If you're not very good, bring a lot of cheap balls. That way you don't care when you lose them, and you can just be out there having a good time. If you have a team of people, or you just want something shorter, go for one of the networking 9s or the party 9. Those are both great. Like what Tim said, Pioneer's a little bit shorter. It's a lot more friendly to a golfer, a lot less difficult shots. So even if you're not that good, it's a little bit of a slower pace, not much going on in terms of being so compact and so competitive. Or the par 3 is great for beginners, and it's a good time. So maybe you're like, I don't even know if I like golf.
Right.
Well, get a set of clubs from your neighbor and come out and play the par 3. You know, no matter what, you're not going to spend a ton of time out there. You're going to have a great time. Pick people you really like to play with. You'll be surrounded by a lot of fun stuff, and you'll get the benefit of being able to network and meet new people. And more than anything, you get the benefit of supporting the chamber. We all know how important the chamber is. And I think so many people across Northern Kentucky know the full value of what you do. And it's so important for us as business leaders and community leaders and business owners and employees and everything else to really make sure we have a great chamber. And so, you know, I love golf outings because it's a way that we can support all the amazing work and have a great time while we do it.
Definitely. So it sounds like it's more than just a fun day out of office or morning or afternoon out of office for people.
Absolutely. It should be. You know, I think like any of these things, it's do you make it more? And, you know, we're going to give you all the opportunities to make it more. We're going to make it fun. We're going to put businesses out on the course. We're going to give you opportunities to network. But people need to come and want to do that stuff. And when they do, it's a lot better. And so I hope most people do that. I always enjoy it every year.
Definitely. And I know incentive-wise, there's like the flight awards and some other prizes people can win throughout the day as well. Talk to me a little bit about that and just getting people out there for something fun like that.
Yeah, well, on both of our 18-hole scrambles, there is the coveted Chamber Victory Trophy. You know, you might not have enough trophies in your office, and so there is none more coveted than the Chamber of Commerce Golf Outing Trophy to go on your shelf. And so that is a huge point of pride that when people walk in, they not only know that you love our chamber, but they know that you're good at golf. So you never know where that's going to take you.
That's true.
Then we'll have raffles throughout the day. You're automatically entered into the raffles. You can always buy more. We have games on the course, a long drive closest to the pin. It's a new game that we're playing this year called Survivor Ball, where you purchase one golf ball at the beginning of the round. Your team has to play, at least one person has to play that ball on every shot. Every team that gets done and brings that ball back gets entered into a raffle to win a bigger prize. So that's another really fun one that we're doing this year. And then we'll have giveaways, special raffles. New Riff will be there with their bottles of bourbon on the putting green again, and their tasting that they do for us every year. There's no better way to tee off at 7:30 and have a shot of bourbon before you hit the course. So
sounds like a nice
good way to play.
Confidence booster right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Is there anything else I've missed asking that we want to throw out there? I didn't know if there was anything with Kenton County golf courses coming up that you wanted to tease as well for people.
Well, there's all kinds of stuff coming up, but I guess I would say the July 4th Scramble is right around the corner, and that's one of our internal events that's always very popular. And with regard to just kind of piggybacking on what Aaron said, I think if you're looking for fun, then it's the par 3 or it's the 9 hole. If you're looking to network, then it's either. If you're looking for competition, then it's the 18 hole. So hopefully there's something for everybody coming up with this event.
That's awesome. So that way people just don't feel like, oh, I can't sign up because I'm not good at golf. Like anybody can pretty much sign up if they really feel.
There's a place for everybody. I will say we are running out of spots on the 18 hole.
Yes.
And so we have some spots left in the afternoon. So if you're not signed up and you want to play 18, get to that soon. We still have a pretty good amount of availability in the 9 hole. Last thing I'll say is we have 4 sponsorship spots left on the 9 hole. And I think those are really valuable. Not only will you get a booth out there that everybody who comes to the 9 hole will get to see you, but you'll be in the program, you'll have marketing there. Everybody will get to see your name and know that you are a supporter of the Chamber. So if you're a small business owner out there or work for a business, we'd love for you to consider that. It's a very affordable option.
Awesome. Anything else, guys?
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate having you guys on. Golf outing, August 6th. Be there or be square.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Stephanie Stiene of Brighton Properties. Steph, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
I am very excited to have you on. We have worked very closely together throughout this process of the Home for All report that the Chamber and Brighton Center and Brighton Properties, along with the Northern Kentucky Area Development District and like a billion other people, worked on last year. And we've talked about having you on the podcast to talk about all your great work. So I'm glad it's finally happened.
Me too.
Yeah. So jump right in. Tell me a little bit about Brighton Properties. You guys are connected to Brighton Center. Tell us about the work you do.
Sure. So Brighton Properties, we started in 1997. So believe it or not, next year we're going to be celebrating our 30 years of existence, which is super exciting. But yes, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Brighton Center. We have our separate 501c3. So in a way, we are a separate company, but we're still under the umbrella of Brighton Center. So, and really with Brighton Properties, you know, we look at anything with housing development, we do renovation, we also property manage. You know, so what we do is pretty much threefold. We have 18 facilities that we property manage. And, you know, since our inception, we built over 398 units of income-aligned housing. And we still have about 310 of those in our portfolio today that we still manage.
Yeah, that's incredible. So 30 years of really finding innovative solutions to keep people in homes and get people to home ownership. And, you know, and I know you guys said, so rental units as well. It's not just home ownership, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we, like I mentioned, we worked on this Home for All report together and with a number of other organizations, and Brighton Center and Brighton Properties were a really big part of that and kind of talking about some of those solutions. As you think about that huge report that we did, those 50 solutions that you know, roadmap to success when we talk about the housing shortages that we're seeing in Northern Kentucky, what are the priorities that you guys are focusing on when it comes to that?
You know, without boiling the ocean, you do have to narrow it down a bit because there's so many great opportunities in the Home for All report. You know, strategically, Brighton Properties is specifically looking at not only new development with newly constructed units, but also looking at preserving the ones we have across the region. You know, we know housing is a huge piece, you know, to self-sufficiency and growth of neighborhoods and communities and families thriving. So being able to meet families where they are at price points they can afford is really, really important. And, you know, part of the housing study called out specifically families making $15 to $25 an hour. So that's been one of our focus points when we're not only developing or renovating, you know, adding units is how do we make sure that we're adding, you know, to the full continuum of housing and not just one piece of it. You know, and thinking about families that are making, you know, less than, I think it's $109,000 a year, which is 100% AMI. You know, we want to be able to, you know, again, offer housing and a place for people to call home, no matter if it's rental or home ownership.
Yeah. You mentioned self-sufficiency. A couple weeks ago, we had on the podcast Lauren Allhands and Eric Owsley, also from Brighton, but Brighton Center.
Yes.
And they talked a lot about that idea of the path to self-sufficiency and how you guys are working and meeting families. Tell us a little bit about how housing plays into that. I know that's kind of a curveball. That wasn't on the initial list of questions.
Sure. Well, when you have a place to call home, everything kind of comes together. Right. Even though prices, are high for childcare and gas and groceries, but at least having that stability of a place to come home to offers, not only a place for the family to thrive. Children stay in the same school system. They, continue to develop their network, their, relationships with their peers, but also families, develop a support system when they're in the same place for a time period where they have a trusted source, a neighbor, a person across the street that, can help within their community. It really helps with self-sufficiency, and then it kind of even gets bigger to that growing community thriving piece, with people have a trusted place, and a place where they belong.
Yeah, and that's so important as we talk about like people staying in our community as well, because if they can't find that community, if they can't find a place to stay, they leave. That impacts the workforce. It all plays together.
Yes.
And one of the other things I want to talk about, so I know you are a busy lady. Brighton Properties is currently working on a number of different projects. You guys just broke ground on a really exciting one recently. Tell me about what you guys are actually doing on the ground right now.
Sure. So definitely several things. It's never a dull moment, with the need being so great for the region. But specifically, we just broke ground on June Gardens. Super excited to be able to move this project forward. It's been in the works for quite a while. It's 12 rental units in the city of Newport, somewhat scattered sites. We have 6 one-bedroom, 4 two-bedroom, and 2 3-bedroom units. So not only meeting the need of individuals, but also that important need of families. With that, we're looking at a 12 to 14 month construction timeline, but that'll be able to serve families, under 80% AMI, which is about $86,000. So again, creating price points for families so they can thrive. Next, we also are looking at that missing middle, missing middle based on the housing study that was conducted in 2023, thinking of those units that are like 2 to 8 unit properties, being able to offer those smaller, not the large, 200 plus units in a rental complex makes a smaller community feel for those residents living there. So we recently acquired a duplex. And so it was an investor in the region that was selling the property. And so we were lucky enough to acquire it in order to keep or preserve the affordability with that unit. And then lastly, we also have our Pathway to Home program, which it's working with realtors and individuals with the cities on blighted property or vacant property. Also those properties that maybe need some TLC and getting them back online. We have a number of those that are across the region, so being able to work with partners to acquire those properties. We have a construction team where we go in, we renovate the properties, and then our goal is to not be an investor that charges crazy amounts for the properties. We're selling those properties at price points that families can afford, versus being priced out of the market. So we, currently in the process, we've just sold 2 properties, and we're on our 3rd, and that hopefully will be ready late summer.
Yeah.
So
it's really exciting. And I know that you talked to me personally about like the impact that you see when you sell these properties to these families. Tell us a little bit about that, like real community impact when you're working with these families.
Yeah, the two properties that we acquired, actually, it was one property in Florence. It was a foreclosed property and it had a detached garage. We were able to keep the 3-bedroom property, convert the garage into a 2-bedroom cottage. So we were, the city of Florence was thrilled because we were bringing a new unit online that had not been there before. The individual that bought the 3-bedroom home was a single dad of 3 girls, which that's what it's about, right? Giving them an opportunity to not only grow up in a home, but have a community around them, supporting them. And the individual buying the cottage is a veteran, looking at homeownership and generational wealth. So, it was just a really nice reminder of, why we do the programs we do is, again, meeting families where they are in this process and giving them an opportunity to invest in themselves.
Yeah, that's really great, a community impact. And I loved hearing that when you told me a couple of weeks ago about it. I'm glad that you can share that with our podcast listeners here today. One of the other things, bigger picture, I want to take a step back, is when we're thinking about the housing market right now, when we're thinking about the 2023 housing study that the ad district did and the home for all report that came out last year, what are we still seeing in the housing market? Have things changed a lot since these reports came out, or are we still seeing these same struggles?
I think it's a couple of things. The first thing that comes to mind is, families are still struggling, to find a place that they can afford to live and call home, whether it's rental or home ownership. So, using this study as a talking point, we've gained a lot of momentum, across the region with city officials and, other partners to be able to be a part of the solution, because it's really going to take an army, for us working together to meet the need of our working families, in the region. Also thinking about, the price points. Our recent graduates, are looking for price, housing, that they can afford, and they're not alone. It's teachers, it's police, it's nurses, being able to have a place in their community that maybe they work, and being able to not have such a long commute. Again, keeping that talent here, versus letting that talent go somewhere else, in another state or city. So that's really a piece of where we are right now. But when you think about trying to solve our housing crisis, it's also thinking outside the box. How do we think not only stick build what we've built houses for years and years, but how do we think of some variations of that? Is it more thinking about modular? Those rules with modular housing have greatly changed, over the years. So really continuing the conversations, the partnerships, the, monitoring of price points, so people really start to understand, why it's so important to others outside of the community as well as within the community.
Yeah, for sure. And then one of the other things I want to ask Steph is, Brighton Properties is doing great work. You've mentioned that you work with developers in different cities and things like that. How can people engage with you? How can people help you in your mission as you're doing this work?
Oh, definitely. We're always looking for volunteers. As I mentioned before, we have 18 facilities. So if somebody's retired and wants to help with landscaping or small construction projects, we are always looking for that. We're always looking for vendors to be a part of our construction team, helping us with renovating the properties so we can get them back online, so families can purchase at a price point, again, they can afford. And lastly, always looking for those properties that are sitting vacant, or, somebody has inherited a property and they're not really sure what to do with it. We would love the opportunity to work with you or work with them, just to keep those price points, again, affordable in our region for, our talent, with graduates and teachers and so forth.
Yeah. Anybody that's looked at the housing market in Northern Kentucky said, oh, wait. Anybody that's looked recently kind of feels that. And I know that conversation is continuing to evolve, and people are queuing in more, I think, to realizing that, hey, yeah, we do have a shortage. Hey, yeah, there is a problem. So I have loved working with you and hearing all about the work that you guys are doing at Brighton Properties. And Steph, before I let you go, final thoughts, anything else that our viewers and listeners need to know about the work you're doing?
I would say just keep Brighton Properties in mind. We've been a part of the fabric of the community for almost 30 years. We do excellent work, and we would love to partner with you. So thank you.
Yes. Well, Steph, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you to our Investors Circle members. Our Investors Circle members help us promote and support the development of strong businesses and a vibrant economy in the Northern Kentucky region. Thank you to all of these members for their investment, which will help the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce in our mission to develop and grow a thriving business community. Northern Kentucky needs tailored solutions to address our housing shortage. Home for All, Northern Kentucky Housing Strategies, explores how we can retain young adults, help older residents downsize or age in place, and ensure new neighbors have housing options that fit their lives. Dive into the report at housingNKY.org. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into today's episode of the podcast. If you are interested in joining us for the 2026 Annual Chamber Golf Outing happening on Thursday, August 6th, I encourage you to register as soon as possible. Those spots are filling up fast. You can visit nkychamber.com/events to learn more about the Party Par 3, the Networking 9, and our 18-hole options. Like I said, spots are filling up fast. Thank you once again to our podcast sponsor, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. And finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, please reach out to Lynn Ablin. You can find her contact information on the screen if you're a viewer, and our listeners can find that at nkychamber.com/staff. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next week.